Finally, a new movie is coming out. You know, there's like no movies anywhere. The movie theaters are like shut down everywhere. Where I'm at right now, we got movie theaters. You can go in and sit down. You wear your mask when you walk in, you take it off when you sit down, you eat your candy and your popcorn or whatever, and you watch your movies. The only problem is there's like one movie, Tenet. And Tenet was pretty good. I liked it. I went to go see it. But when I called like a couple theaters, they're playing just old movies like Harry Potter and things like that. And it's because no new movies are coming out. Well, we got a new movie. This movie is called Songbird, a movie trailer about pandemic COVID-23, slammed by critics, cashing in on human suffering. COVID-23. What is 4 years from now? We have no vaccine, no cure, and no plan. That's your idea of a horror movie? My friends, watch the trailer for this movie. What were they thinking with this? First of all, a lot of people are saying too soon. I'm actually saying this movie is stupid. You know, but I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to tell you, I actually like this movie. You know why? I actually like it because the main characters are apparently like this dude and this chick, and the dude is immune and he's got a wristband. And so there's like a scene where he's riding his bike, and then these like military guys are like, don't move. And he's like, wait, I'm immune. He's got a bracelet on. It's like, oh, okay, now they won't shoot you, I guess. They're that worried about a virus that has a mortality rate of like 0.005% for like the elderly, like our infection fatality rate at 0.0054%. Like they made a horror movie about this. I'm impressed. Anyway, the point I'm making is the main characters are actually the bad guys. That's why I like this movie. The lockdown is the problem. The enforcers of the lockdown are the villains. Yes, that's what Trump supporters have been saying for quite some time. I love it when I go to like Reddit and I'm reading these news outlets and they're criticizing Trump for saying reopen the economy. And they're like, apparently it's trying to save lives is a conspiracy. It's like, okay. In this movie, the good guys, the protagonists, are fighting against the lockdown. So who do they represent? That's right. To the leftists, the main character is the bad guy. The government is just trying to save lives in this film. Why would you try and fight them and stop them? How dare you? They're upset because, like in the film, people are being brought to camps or whatever. The apocalyptic film follows a couple in 2024 that tries to meet during the pandemic. It is so amazingly cringy, where like the dude's on one side of the door and he's like touching it. She's on the other. And they're like, we can't touch each other because of an infection fatality rate for young people of 0.0000009%. Oh, man, listen, in the real world, there's a reason why we did the lockdown. Look, we don't want people to die. And I think people panicked for sure. But there's also lingering effects that's fair to point out. Lung problems, blisters, blood clots. And so it's not just a typical illness, okay? I think it's fair to say when Donald Trump came out and said we're going to shut down travel, that may have been a good move. I think so. These other countries should have been more strict, notably China with stopping the spread. Should Donald Trump have locked down the entire country? I think maybe what we should have done is protected the vulnerable. Hindsight is 2020. But the point I'm making is I'm not overly critical of the Democrats for locking things down the way they did initially, but the extended period of lockdown was just way over the top. Anyway, the point is, it's bad. We took action. Okay, I accept these things. We want to keep people safe, but come on, man, this movie? The film follows a couple played by KJ Apa and Sophia Carson who fell in love virtually during COVID-23 and try to meet up. The Romeo and Juliet-esque plot is set in 2024 when the mortality rate is over 50% and the virus kills at an accelerated rate. Infected Americans are forced from their homes and into quarantine camps. Okay, fine. In their movie, it's a 50% mortality rate. Fine. People also criticize the movie for romanticizing the pandemic. Look at, they're like touching the door. Like, I wish I could touch. It's like, dude, the door is not airtight. You can still like cough or whatever. It's a dystopian, scary world. But it's a romantic movie about two people who want to be together, but they can't. Filmmaker Adam Mason told EW. It's Romeo and Juliet, but they're separated by her front door and by the virus. Oh, it's so cringe. Dude, I just watched The Craft. You gotta see it. You gotta, no, wait, maybe not. Don't give these people money. Oh, I watched The Craft. The Craft Legacy, it's a remake. It's actually not a remake, it's a sequel. It has to be the worst movie I have ever seen. And I've seen Birds of Prey, okay? I've seen Birds of Prey. And I wish I hadn't. The Craft Legacy is one of the worst things I've ever had to see. And I've seen Cats. You know why Cats was better than The Craft? Because at least they're playing music. Now, Cats was awful. I don't know if you saw it. I felt like they butchered this memory because the song was really good, but like the woman who was doing it was like had snot coming out of her nose. She's like, "Grr, grr." And I'm like, just sing the song. The song's great. I loved it. And they ruined Mr. Mistopheles. I don't want to rag on Cats. Okay, here's the point. Trust me, it makes sense. In The Craft, the whole movie is a woke PSA. So there's like, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie for you, but I doubt you're going to see it. Maybe you will. But it's like, it's very much like the first one. They turn a guy woke with magic, and it's hilarious when they're like, we did it. He's woke now. I kid you not. They say he's woke. They put a spell on a guy to turn him woke. Amazing. The movie is awful. The villain's motivations are quite literally, I think the villain is Jordan Peterson. I'm not kidding. I think the bad guy is Jordan Peterson. I'm being dead serious. There's a point where he makes a comment about like masculinity being order, and I'm just like, what is happening? Anyway, here's the point. Maybe now you want to watch it. So anyway, when I watched this movie and I sat through it and it ended, I thought to myself, first, what did I just watch? And the second thing I watched, I realized I was like, this movie's whole goal was not to tell me a story, but to preach wokeness. For real. And they did make one transgression where one of the characters is a cis female in real life playing a trans person. That's like a big no-no. But the whole point of the movie had nothing to do with magic, nothing to do with the villains. It was literally just being woke and then them praising woke things. It was really weird. And then I realized something changed. It's been changing recently where movies are turning into, you ever see those really campy religious conservative, movies? Even religious conservatives know they're not good. Okay. Cause we talked about it in the IRL podcast. It was funny. We make fun of them. There's these like really campy superhero movies, really low budget. Even when conservatives make movies with a decent budget, it's still just not there. And you're like, this is so weird. There's like one movie that came out with Kevin Sorbo where, they ban guns, and then it's like, oh no, what do we do? And then like riots break out. I'm probably killing ruining the actual plot or synopsis. But like we know, guys, conservative movies, you just got to do better, huh? Well, here's what's happening. It's flipping. This movie, Songbird, that's why I bring it up, is on par with this really cringe, poorly produced and written storytelling that has more to do with shared experience than actually telling a story that might excite or entice someone. So what I'm trying to say is they made this movie as a, hey guys, remember COVID? COVID's scary. Watch the movie. Instead of being like a story about a dog that did a backflip off a building and like you're like, ooh, I want to know what happened to the dog next. This is not a story about two people where you're like, I wonder what happens with them. It's a movie where you're like, oh no, COVID-23, rapidly accelerating mutation. It's weird, isn't it? And I think we're headed towards a future. I think there's going to be a hard inversion. So I'll tell you why. Your good friend here, Tim Pool, is not a conservative, but here I am hanging out more so with many moderates and conservatives because of things like this. I am about to put out a music video, and I wrote a song, and the song is good. I think it's good because I wrote it. I would never be able to compare it to the songs that I grew up and that I really love. I listen to songs all day that are just like amazing. And I listen to this song and I'm like, it's basic. You know what I mean? But it's really well produced. And maybe I'm being hard on myself. Other people have said it's really good, but I'm like, nah, look, man, I think I can write songs. I think it's a great story. And I think we're going to put out a good video. The point I'm trying to make is we got excellent animators, excellent producers with good songwriting. It's not going to be Bohemian Rhapsody. At least, I don't know. I don't think it is. I'm just saying I think we made a good song. I think we did some good work. And the reason I'm bringing this up is when you look at movies like this, The talented, exciting, creative, curious, interested people are not aligning with the weird woke universe. They're leaving it. Now you're going to start to see conservative comedy and commentary and cartoons and things that are actually funny. Steven Crowder is 100 times funnier than any one of the woke brigade late night TV hosts. And that is an objective fact. I know it's not really an objective fact. What I'm trying to say is the canned humor of John Oliver. It's 2020, little Timothy. You're like, bro, I get it. It's the same joke every day. And it doesn't work. You watch Crowder and he just tells you something and then he makes a joke and you laugh because Crowder is just a funny guy. The flip, it's happening. Conservatives are going to start getting the talented and the great production, and the left is losing it. And you know what? So be it. I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up for you in just a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.